I'm excited that you're here. I really am, Haze.
It's been a while, huh?
It's been such a while. I've known you I've been watching your career for a while. And I sent you a message, your PR.
Yeah.
And they got back to me.
Funny that.
I'm so cool. Well, guys.
Yeah, we've actually, I don't think your listeners know, but I mean, we've known each other a long time. Haven't seen each other in a long time, but we know each other from before any of us did anything big.
I remember seeing you in a studio recording years ago.
I mean, with short, spiky hair. And
your short, spiky hair, and your brother.
That's right.
He was also there.
Yeah, he was in the band.
And he's very cool.
Yeah, he is very cool.
He is. And you're doing a song together.
I hope he doesn't hear this because it's so uncool for a big brother to say when your little brother's cool.
And he's in London. So.
He's in London, yeah.
Gareth, right?
Gareth
Haze. All right.
Gareth Haze, yeah, he's taken the stage name as well. He passed it on.
I was wondering, because Haze, and I was like, cool.
Yeah, that's the real thing.
Runs in the family.
I think, look, obviously we agreed on it when he was in the band. I said, we're not going to, I mean, if I've got a stage name and that's what I'm going with, because I brought it across from when I was in other bands from before that. But when I formed 12th Avenue, that was my own band. And he wasn't the drummer initially. I had another drummer named Bradley. And then Bradley left the band and Gareth auditioned for the band. He was about, I think when we met.
Gareth auditioned for the band?
Yeah, he had
You made him audition?
I don't want to pull any nepotism or anything like that.
So. You made your brother audition?
And he was 15. I mean, I thought to myself, we were all hitting 20 and he was 15 and still in school. And I thought, well, in my mind, I thought he's probably the best drummer for the project.
Yeah.
And he's a good singer as well. And 12th Avenue had a lot of backing vocals and things like that because we were very Queen orientated. We loved Queen and the Beatles. So that was kind of our first stop. And then, but I said, look, just to be fair, everyone finds some guys, see what goes on, and they'll learn these 3 songs. One of them is ours, 2 of them is the covers, and then come through and do it. And he nailed it. And I was kind of backed into a corner by the rest of the band going, you've got to talk to your parents, get this guy to come play for us. He's the right guy. Plus he's there at the rehearsal room to begin with, because we did it from my house.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it all worked out very nicely.
And you're doing a song together now, which I'm very excited about, the Hazes.
The Hazes, yeah.
The Hazes.
No, it's his song featuring me. I actually, our father passed away 2 years ago. Yeah. So he came back to South Africa for the funeral and to help out with things. And he's busy writing stuff because he's got his own career in the UK now and he's doing nicely. And he sends me his stuff and he says, what do you think of it and that sort of thing. And I always say, yeah, I would love to actually do this to the song or that to the song. Yeah. And then we decided when he was down here, he brought me a song called Home, which is the name of this one. I added very little to it, but I ended up tracking a lot of it for him and then producing and mixing it. And he loves it. So we said, okay, well, you are singing the backing vocal on it, so we may as well just use your name.
It's high. Jeez, those notes you're hitting.
Yeah, it's pretty high.
I was going, wow.
Well, he sings that stuff as well. A lot of people don't know that. He would normally pitch the high stuff behind me. Extremely talented. And to play drums and do that at the same time, that's not easy.
That's so cool.
Your diaphragm's moving a lot while you're playing drums and he knocks the notes out. So we switched roles. He took the lead role, obviously, because it's his song. And I sang the backing on it and played a little bit of guitar. Yeah. And that's the number. And then we, as we were leaving for the airport, he said, okay, you're my producer on this next album. So it's a good one. I've heard most of the demos now and he's busy writing some new things. Stranger in a Strange Land, it's called.
I actually looked at his Instagram yesterday and it's
that Johnny Depp thing going on.
Very, very much, very much a Johnny Depp thing going on there.
Yeah, he's always that. They say he's the better looking brother. But
I'm not
better
going to comment on any of this. The talent shows. Listen here. So you said, I watched an interview that you did and you said, Queen, the show must go on. All right. It's one of your favorite tracks.
It is my favorite track.
Now, I want to talk to you about a song of yours that's been haunting me for years.
I think I know what you're talking about.
It is a rock anthem. Never Say Goodbye. I mean,
Don't say goodbye.
Don't say goodbye. Yeah. There's sometimes they call it Never Say Goodbye.
I know why you think it's Never Say Goodbye because that's one of those are one of the lyrics we were working on when you met me.
Never say goodbye.
Yeah, it's Don't Say Goodbye. But we were toying with that lyric back in the day. What, 2003 or 4?
I think that's when I heard it, when it was Never Say.
Yeah, you were in the studio. Yeah, we were tracking demos then. Yeah, but 12th Avenue tracked that song as a demo with a couple of other things. And we played it at a few live shows. It was a big song for us, but we ended up not using it for the longest time for various reasons. One of them being we thought he was our manager, but he kind of screwed us over.
Yeah, I remember that because I watched you. I actually came because this particular person said to me, "Come watch this band." It's like, okay, and I heard the song and I was. It it was in my head, and I thought, oh, I hope they're being looked after. You know,
It's a very different song to what we normally
yes,
had written.
but still, can you
even
imagine?
now it's different too. Yeah, it's got a different style. I don't know how to describe it. I still don't know how to describe it, which is why I've always been hesitant about recording it. I mean, someone said re-record to me the other day, but it's not a re-record. It's actually a fresh record. The demo that we had was literally that. It was the band playing in the room, all mic'd up and that sort of thing, and then tracked together. And then we did a couple of outtakes on it in an attempt to make a single out of it, and it never filtered into anything. But this guy that you're talking about, he ended up making a bootleg disc.
You said there was CDs sold or something that you didn't know about.
Yeah,
it's so
yeah.
weird.
He came to meet me. We'd parted ways. I said, this is not working. We're not getting the album out. You want to go a different line to us. Various things that happen in that in the business, you know, from a musical and a creative point of view. He felt he was our producer, but the ideas that he was putting forward just didn't gel with myself and the team at the time. So we parted ways, and then I was pulled into a meeting to show me this CD, and I said I didn't approve any of this, nor do I want a 3-song CD, EP, whatever it is, to go out.
No.
And he said, all right, fine. And then next thing you know, it turns out he's printed thousands of them, cases load, and the next I'd seen it, 12th Avenue had gone on to better things.
I just get upset listening to
no permission was given, and that's
because you don't just go without permission. I mean, that's a thief that does that.
Yeah,
a thief
essentially
in the
it comes
night.
down to that. Yeah. I think in his head,
I'm saying it, you're not saying it. There you go.
No, I'll say it. It was a thievery thing. You know, but in his head, I think he thought, if I can just show them, this will sell and it'll do well, and that sort of thing. I think he had invested money into his studio and things like that, and he wanted to do something with it. But without permission, it's therefore illegal, you know. So we were at Rocking the Daisies, and I'll never forget, a kid came up to me with this album, and I said, where did you get that? And he said, it's at the stand, it's being sold at the stand right now. I said, no, that's not true. These albums are being sold at the stand, like these guys are getting signed. Where did you get that? And it was a different stand somewhere around the corner, sort of thing. So we ended up having to get the security to go and confiscate the box.
Did you get any money from the CDs that were sold?
No, never.
So it was just sold
with
your name on
I
it?
think...
It's very strange.
I don't want to speak out of turn, but it's possible. I saw it on iTunes the other day that it is there. So there will be I'm sure something will be done about it through the publishers or whatever.
I really hope so, because when I listen to the song, I listen to it over and over again. I'm kind of addicted to it. It's a bit for me. What other song does that to me? There's a few. It's weird. The Wheel in the Sky keeps on turning. I love that track.
Like an earworm, right?
It's an so you've given me an earworm. But besides that, it's also for me the fact that your career, from going through that hell with your CD, and you should talk about record labels that screw people over, you know, just for people that are new in the industry. Write a book about that, you know, but your career to now, how this is not the end, you know. Sure. And it's that kind of courage.
Well, that was the reason it was brought back. And I know my guitarist now, Jake Jansen, he turned to me and he said, you know, I saw you when you were in 12th Avenue, and you know, we still reminisce about. We've been together for 100 years now. It feels like, and he's my right hand man on the left hand side. That's our saying for him, you know. And he's sitting in the tour van with me, and he goes like, "That song is really great, you know. Like I don't know why you don't play it." And I explained the story to him, and as you do on a tour bus, you kind of get to story time and you tell the whole thing. And he goes like, "Yeah, but now's the time to do it again." And I said, I don't know, I'll think about it. And then at the back, my drummer, Adrian, because Gareth lives in the UK, he's not my drummer anymore. Adrian, we'd known each other from his band back in the day as well. And he pipes up from the back going, yeah, I remember that song distinctly. I remember that being very cool. You guys used to stand back to back and do guitar solos and all of that. And it became like our thing and our look. And I've still, obviously, I continue that whole thing. It's what I don't know, not invented, but borrowed from Iron Maiden and all my influences back in the day. And he said, yeah, it's a great song. I think you should do something with it. And so I came home. It was all around the end of the COVID lockdown. So during the lockdown, I didn't want to sit and do nothing. So the online shows kind of happened, and we did some streaming things. And I wasn't about to go and get a job as a, painter or go back to the corporate world like I used to do and that sort of thing. So I tried to use the time to maybe like learn a new craft. So I had produced acts and bands on the side, and we've always kept it very quiet because in terms of my career, you want to push your own brand. You want to push Mark Haze as a thing.
Yeah.
And we were very much breaking ground, and Universal had just signed me, and Idols had just happened, and so there's still there was like a wave that we rode with it. So when I produced, we never put my name on the bottom of it.
I saw there's a different name there almost.
No, we used to use my
your real name.
Yeah. Now we use Mark Haze, and we'll PR it and we'll do whatever with it, and because it's more about the case of the fact that it was like my retirement plan when I'm too old and ugly and the hair's all fallen out and that sort of thing, and no one wants to see me shake my tush while I'm playing guitar on stage anymore. Then I'll just retire back to a studio, and I'll bring acts in and I'll produce them and I'll do it that way. But I'd never known how the engineering side worked, so I could always tell an engineer sitting next to me, oh, there's something sharp about that. It's pushing out something. I think it's a frequency that's clashing with that frequency, or why can't I hear that note? That's the key thing of the song. Bring that out to the front. I'd be like the person who doesn't steer the ship but kind of yells in the captain's ear about steering the ship. So I wanted to learn how to do the engineering stuff. So I sat with my sound engineer at the time, stop at his house, make some coffee, have a snack, and then we would track some things. And I made this little tiny album called Why Not, with a question mark. Yeah, it was a bunch of covers, and was also just a way of me learning, okay, so what are you doing there? How do you know the frequencies out? Show me the graphic EQ, see how this works. And he helped me learn enough about it to go home and then take online courses and figure out the engineering side. So I'm not by any means an actual sound engineer. I know I still know just enough to go, okay, this is as polished as can be.
This is a sound that it should be.
Correct. And there's no one can fool me, shall we say. Not that an engineer would, but no one could say to me anymore that, like, don't worry, I'll take care of it. You don't need to know how we fix it. I'll just fix it. Now I know what they're going to do to fix it. So it's very empowering.
And understanding the language as well when you're working with a producer.
Totally. Yeah.
You know how to communicate with them with the sound that you want.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So it's very good to educate yourself in that way.
Yeah, I'm an inquisitive guy when it comes to that sort of thing. Even our live sound engineers, they know. Like I like to know. I go like, so how did you do that? How did you get that to come right? What did you do? Did you break the microphone? And
Is there a live sound engineer that you prefer working with?
There are a few that I really like.
Okay.
I haven't gone, and there was one sound engineer that, and he knows it as well, Philip Berger. He now lives and works in Abu Dhabi. Got an amazing job working at the University of New York in Abu Dhabi, and he works with different things. So it's not just your standard old rock band will come play there. They'll get orchestras. They'll get like guys with strange, eclectic instruments and things like that. So he works in the tech side as well. So they build like stage props and these sort of various things in order to, and they have to figure out how to mic up a instrument that's never been mic'd up before.
Hectic.
So, and he's the best sound man I've ever worked with. And that's no offense to any of the other sound guys I currently work with now. But it's more of a fact that he toured for so long with us.
There's experience behind it.
Very much.
It's really tricky to
you
find
walk
that
on
sound
stage
engineer.
and you just know something's not sounding right. You just have to say to him, Phil, and he'll go, I know what it is. I got you. Give me 5 minutes, and then it's working again.
I forget, like a performer is so reliant on a sound engineer.
Extremely,
like I watch my sound engineer all the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm very reliant on them. I don't know if it's a psychological, emotional.
Well, there are two sides to it. The one side of me goes, we got used to having Phil around, myself and the team. And we would work with him on anything and everything. And he would also, again, on the bus, everyone would be sleeping and him and I would start chatting about why does that work? Why doesn't this work? Should we turn the amplifiers around? Then you've got less interference. Things like that a lot of the pro bands are doing. Or we'd see a video and go like, where's Metallica's amps? Where are they?
Yeah.
We know they're using it, but where are they? And they're actually under the stage and they're facing in a different direction and they're not interfering with things. Joe Bonamassa's got like 17 amps or whatever he's using, and he's got cages in front of it to block the sound, and all sorts of things like that would go into discussion. The other side of it is that because I grew up playing with like no monitors and in clubs like the Whammy Bar back in the day, and the
Whammy Bar.
Remember the Whammy Bar?
Yeah, I remember the Whammy Bar.
Zero monitors on that stage, so you're listening to the sound bounce off the wall, and you're singing a little sooner than you should because you want to match up your time. And that I call it play the blues. That's what it is. Yes. Your amp, you crank it up, you hear what's going on there. Your drummer's looking at your lips to see if he's playing on times with you, and that's like a real feel way of doing it. And that's coming from the old school. So I could still do that if I really wanted to. And if you end up in a place where the festival, for example, and the festival engineers are they're so busy, they're doing their best to get you. They can't get you 100%, but they can get you like 70, maybe 80%.
Right, where you want it.
That feel. You know how many times you come off stage and the guys go, "That was an incredible show," and I'm going, "Was it?" Okay, good, because I have no clue
how that sounded.
Whether it sounded good. I just kept listening for the note, and I sang where I could, and I pretended like it was amazing, and that's what a lot of people don't get about performance. It's an act. you are acting quite a lot of the time.
Yes.
But what
you
you're trying to do...
You can't hear a bloody thing that you can't hear the monitor, but you just carry on. The
you
show
just
must
pretend
go on.
like you can hear the monitor and you're the greatest singer that's ever walked this earth.
Crazy. It's crazy.
And that's the performance side of it. So you act it out. I've never been a fan of like musicians that like will stop the show and be like, hey, listen, Dirk, can you do whatever?
Sorry, stop. Could you please? I can't hear my No, that's crazy.
No, you fake it and you just make it work.
One thing I don't understand is, I'm sorry, but you didn't win the Idols. That I can't. So it's these things that I don't understand, because I listened yesterday. I was like, no, maybe, and nothing wrong with
No, Dave's awesome. No, he's a great singer. He's a great singer. He's a fantastic singer.
Absolutely amazing.
And when he formed Southern Wild, I mean that band is just spectacular. He's spectacular. And you see,
I just don't understand it. Maybe it's taste thing. Maybe it's. I mean, you covered the way you did Roxanne. The way you did
I enjoyed that.
It was not, well, for me, it was phenomenal. There's certain things you do where I go, I don't know what's wrong with this guy, vocally, because I'm but I'm not blowing smoke up your ass. It's because I love that rock voice. I mean, and I find it missing so often. And here I get this guy going, and I'm going, thank you.
Yeah, the voice thing, I have a lot of kids come up to me and they go like, I wish I could sing like you. And I go, I don't know if you want to wish that, because it's not, I didn't make it. It's a gift. Look, it's God's gift, you know what I'm saying? We're all born genetically in a different way, and you take what you've got as a hindrance, or you take what you've got as a skill, and you push your talent and you push the positivity towards your talent, and you see if you can hone that and do that. I mean, no doubt, even as high as I can sing, for example, or the range that I've got to work with right now, that took practice to get that together, of course. That takes the work. But I learned that because I used to blow the voice so far out, I could only do one gig and then my throat would be bleeding and it would be like all sorts of things. And I was heading down the path of getting nodules, and that could lead to cancer and various, and an end of a career as well. So I put hard work into what I do, but no, there's no question, I didn't create what I have. I got this and now I'm working with it. And you get these singers that have fantastic baritones and low end voices and stuff like that, which I don't have that at all. So if I would, it's by the same means. I wouldn't go up to Barry White and be like, man, I wish I could do what you do. That's a kick in the face of my creator, like,
yes, exactly.
I got this, let me work with this, So that's how I see the talent on it. I will say though, on Idols, I love that big production stuff. So the way Roxanne came about is you've got a team of people working with you, and I would say stuff like almost as if I was a musical director in the moment, going, it would be cool if we could do a slightly different version, then lead it back into something a bit more swing, and then actually go for the real Roxanne after that and see
because it went into this little path.
See, and then you've got a team of people in the room, essentially like me, but way more talented musically and in the theory side of things, and they're writing that for you. You're trying it out with a piano and maybe just a guitar, and you get the skeleton of it, and then the band takes it, and you come back to rehearsal 3 days later, and there it is. So as much as I'm the front person of that team, they're exquisite. And on all these shows, like The Voice and stuff like that.
Fun to work like that.
No, it's ridiculously cool. It's a whole different world compared to what goes on. Like now, I get moments where I get to work with like the Esther Youth Choir, or I get moments then when I get to work with a brand new person who's like into hip hop or whatever. Like, so as I'm producing, I'm not playing rock stuff necessarily at all. With Jackson Colt, he's right up my alley. He's the greatest guitarist I've seen in real life, So that sort of stuff comes really naturally to me. And even then, we tried different production things that aren't necessarily in the line of like rock would do this.
Okay, I understand.
So I'm always looking at. I may be the rock guy, as I've been dubbed over the last 2 decades now, but I love music in general. That be from operatic to folk to country to hip hop to R&B. Even Kwaito was rad when it came out.
Yeah,
I love that. So if it speaks to you, then it speaks to you. And I like the cross. I'm not into genres, actually, to be honest with you. When people used to ask us, what do you play? You got to remember that I'm going to sound like an old man now, but back in the day, before the internet, before social media, we would stand on street corners like whores and hand out our flyers.
Yes.
And be like, please come to our gig.
Stick it on a wall with glue.
Absolutely. And we got arrested for that. Yeah, we stuck stuff in Cape Town, and then the police came up and said, what are you doing? And I said, advertising.
Trying to promote my band.
Yeah. And they were like, where's your approval sticker? And I said, don't know. It's not. It's with the other guy. I don't know. What are you looking for here? And then our bass guitarist ran away, and myself and my guitarist swiftly got talking to. He spoke a little too much, and then they slammed him on the bonnet of the car and started arresting him. And I managed to sweet talk us out of that whole situation.
Good for you, all for putting up a poster.
I tell you, but no, not a poster. Admittedly, so it must have been 100 and something massive A0 posters.
So you put up massive ones.
I'm talking people-size posters all over the city of Cape Town, massively, and the show was completely sold out. And it worked. Robbie Williams has just been here, and when he came here the first time, we stood in the parking lot of Greenpoint Stadium, what was then Greenpoint Stadium, putting flyers on each and every single car. That's, I don't know, 20, 30,000 cars.
You work
We worked it. So in those moments, people would come up to you and say, what's the 12th Avenue? And I'd go, well, it's a street, but it's the name of our band. And they're like, well, what do you play? And I'd go, often you sometimes look at what they wear, and they're wearing a Guns N' Roses t-shirt, and you go, exactly like that. And then they go, oh, cool, I love that. Oh, I see. And then they'll come. And it may be deceiving a little bit, but you're essentially marketing yourself. And
you're talking to people all the time.
Talking the talk. A lot of people had come to the shows. Even now, people come to watch me, and they remember when I was on Idols, for example, and they say, like, I don't listen to anything rock except you. And I go, that's sad. You should listen to other things.
Because I'm so influenced by it. And
maybe they've grown up listening to, like, I don't know, Kenny Rogers, and then they never really listened to anything else, but they do like it. But then they hear this and they don't know why they like it. But when they come and they say, but you're the only one, and I go, no, that's cool, thank you. But you gotta expand a little bit. It doesn't have to just be me. But listen to other things and see.
Finding that people often listen to rock, and then they just love it, and they don't know why they love it, and the same applies to your music. And I think that's a reference point for them, maybe. For other stuff. I don't know.
Well, you don't get many singers in rock anymore.
You don't.
That do what I do.
No, you don't.
Anymore. Most of them are older. And I think like when Adam Lambert came out in Idols 2 years before me, 2 or 3 years before me, whenever it was, he also shook the world in that sense. They were like, how does this type of singing, and why is he singing rock all the time? Of course, he left and he went solo, and he didn't just do rock. He did lots of other things. But I mean, it just shows versatility is important.
But I mean, that rock voice, Mark, is not easy to get. Come on, it's like you listen to Scorpions, you listen to David Coverdale. Coverdale, thank you. He's got this kind of Hysteria, one of those albums that's very spiritual. And for you to pull that rock voice off, it's amazing. We were talking the other day about
it's not really a rock voice, though. Everyone says
it is. It is
because.
What do you think it is?
Well, I was heavily influenced, believe it or not, by Aretha Franklin and Tina Turner, two female singers.
Okay.
From the R&B circuit. So, and I mean, Tina...
She's great. She's got a rock. I mean,
she went and did more rock, but I think it was more because that's what was cool in that moment. Even Michael Jackson, he was a huge influence on me growing up. But like he leaned more into rock and roll. But he initially with the Jacksons and the Jackson 5, that wasn't rock and roll at all. There's Motown boogie and that sort of thing, and soul.
Yeah, I mean, your voice wouldn't just sit in a rock track. I mean, your voice could sit in a choir, as you said, or anywhere.
I hope so. I hope it does. I don't want to be pigeonholed, but look.
But the music you do. It's so strange. It's the music you do that is what you are.
I say to the team a lot, like it's not necessarily that I want this sound to come out of me, but like from the instruments for the sound.
I want the sound to come out of me, but it does.
But it does. It does come out of me, and that means that it's really what's inside me, and that's what's coming out, and that's fine. But I have ventured down, like on this last album on Authentic.
Beautiful album.
Thank you.
Yesterday.
There are a couple of things that I stole from hip hop, like the drum beats
I heard
deep bass drops and stuff like that
on there as well. And I noticed it and I loved it.
And it works. Long as, for me, look, like I said, I grew up primarily, my favorite bands were Queen and the Beatles. And these are, looking back as a whole other thing. You look back and you go, that's what the Beatles sound like. That's what Queen sounds like. But when that must have happened for the first time, and I've spoken to family, my friends, my parents and my cousins and aunts and uncles and grandparents and that, and I said, what was it like when you heard that for the first time? And it's honestly, a lot of the discussions go with like, well, we had to pull our car over and turn it loud and go, wow, that's amazing, because it had never been heard before, therefore never been done before. And now it's a case of like we're very lucky in our generation, or unlucky, that we've heard a lot of things, but not necessarily for the first time.
We can't take it for granted. I mean, if you look at Bohemian Rhapsody, at the different sections of Bohemian Rhapsody, then it goes into an operatic section, then it goes into a rock section. And I think that's what you're saying, is they haven't taken themselves maybe you're not in a box. You can use elements of hip hop. You can,
I
and I
hope
think
so,
you're intelligent enough to do that. And
yeah,
pull it off.
and I don't even think like I somehow find myself getting into these genre discussions all the time now.
I don't know.
But it's never been about that for me. I've always just gone like, this would sound cool. I don't go, you know what could be cool is putting a little bit of a R&B element in here, or like let's chuck some trance like deep drops here or something like that. I don't think that. I just go, is there a sound on this keyboard? I hear it in my head. Let me just find it, and then I'll do it, and I'll manipulate it, and then I'll go, that's the sound I'm looking for. And the guys will go, dudes do that in the dance clubs like all the time, like before the drop hits, and I go, cool,
that's what we're doing.
How's it work here? Is it good? Like, you like it? Yeah, we like it. Okay, let's sleep on it, listen back the next day, and move on from there. I don't really, and a lot of people do that. They come and they go, I love that side trance thing you did there, or the whatever you did there, and I go, I don't know what you're talking about.
Did I do that? Like, thank you.
Yeah. I have no clue, you know. So I think like, because I'm a documentary fiend, I've watched the Beatles stuff so many times, and like Helter Skelter from the Beatles, they say that that's the birth of punk. Or it's known by a few people, like, what is this? Why are the drums so fast? Why is the guitar so messy? What's he screaming about? And it's about Charles Manson and his people and stuff like that. And it's now not like friendly music anymore.
I forgot about that. That's amazing.
And they say that was maybe not the first punk song, but it was like it opened up. It shows you that at that point the musicians were thinking differently about current affairs and whatever's going on. And you know, fast forward many years, and you've got like the Cult after that, and the Clash, and then fast forward even further. And now you're not in punk anymore, but you've got political rock, which is like Rage Against the Machine and that sort of thing going on. And they say that, but now it's cool to look back and go, it may have been around that it happened. You ask Paul McCartney, he goes, I don't know. It was cool. I wrote it.
I wrote it. It wasn't kind of that I overthought it. And
have you watched the Get Back documentary?
I haven't. And
So
you're the third person that's told me.
No, it's sensational. I really do. I mean, a lot of the regular humans won't really kind of get it. But like, for someone who's ever written music ever, or been in a team with a band, or just musical partners and things like that, when you watch that and you actually realize it humanizes the Beatles immensely, because it's so normal what's going on there. And you know, we've all tinkered on a piano and gotten a little note out or something like that, but you're watching them talk and drink tea and have their toast, talk about whatever happened on the news the night before, and Paul is busy playing the beginning of Fool on the Hill, and that's a huge number one for I don't know how long. It's what, 60 years later or something stupid like that, and you're hearing him tinker it. So in that moment, when you transport yourself, you're going, that's exactly what I do. That's amazing. So there's the human element of it. So that if anyone's got the dream, like I had the dream and you've had the dream, you can look and go, they're just like us when they were this age and we're this age, and they're just like us, but they did more to it, or the timing is whatever it could be. Sometimes fate will step in, or luck will step in, or that sort of thing. But what I do like about that documentary is it gave me a lot of inspiration and a lot of hope to go like, so it is literally that. Just keep doing that and keep going and see where you go. And forget about fame. They did not care about fame. They still don't care about fame.
That's the whole thing, is just doing what you do. You know, at the end of the day.
This industry is so fame
crazy.
What's the word? Fame obsessed, I think is the word.
I think society is fame obsessed. But Andy Wall said in the future.
For what though?
I don't know, because, we, I remember I was at a studio once, and the singer, he came to record, and he said what he wants is his face all over T-shirts, and I thought, that's just weird. It's the thing about fame. It's the thing about, you want to be known. What it does, it takes away from the music, at the end of the day. Your thing with Bon Jovi, you do these cool tribute shows, which are so cool.
Thanks. Yeah, it's fun.
So Bon Jovi,
I reached a point where, like, I know it's work. It's always work. And people will say, we work in a tough industry, or they'll say the opposite. They'll say, it must be cool to work in a party industry. And the truth of it is, if you like what you do, you like what you do. That's the bottom line. And you'll do the dirty stuff with in between, and the restringing of the guitars, and the traveling for thousands of kilometers to get where you want to get to, if you really do love what you do, which is what I do love. But I was at a point where we were busy. I can't remember why, but I got a phone call from a friend who had put together some friends who also like Bon Jovi, and thought, who could probably sing this is Mark. And I was about to go on Idols, and I'd been on, and I'd done the first leg that then gets shown on television later on, and I said, okay, I'll tell you a secret. but you don't say a damn word about this, otherwise they're going to kick me off the show. It's in my contract, etc. I'll come sing this. I'm not supposed to do any gigs from now until we go to Sun City to do the theatre round.
Sorry, hectic. No.
It was that sort of tension, but the band was super excited now. So now it's not just a thing. Now they all know this little secret, my friends. And we go and play at this place called the Plaas Theatre at Hazendal, which is now a lovely big place. But then it was really just a farm, like old barn that had turned into like a stage. And I think at max you could put like 80 people in there. And we put it together. It was fairly loose. We didn't train or practice this like properly. We really were just going to get our friends and told our friends about it. And to cover like electricity and petrol, whatever, we thought we'd charge like 20, 30 rand at the door and just get it going and done. When I arrived for the setup, they sound checked without me because I didn't play guitar in that show. So I just had to show up and do a 1-2 and make sure it was working. When I arrived, there was like a couple of hundred people, maybe 300 close to it, all lined up.
Oh
and
my,
the
that's
entire
amazing.
courtyard filled with people. And I was like, I phoned the guys. I said, guys, what the hell's going on?
What's going on? I'm not
They
supposed
said
to.
they have no idea. Everyone told everyone else and this and that's going. So they opened up all the doors and it was this awesome show that we did. It was great fun. And it was meant to be a once-off. And that's that. Fast forward a couple of years, the band who I now use for this Queen tribute show, I work with them. They call themselves the Family Band. They used to be called the Stain Family Band because their surname is Stain. And they had just formed this project and they said, look, we want to play. It worked so well. We've relearned the whole bunch of it. He said, all you have to do is come and sing it. It's long after Idols. It was a tribute festival that used to happen out in Durbanville at the Hillcrest Quarry. Massive place. And they got, 2,000-3,000 people in at this place and various different acts performed. And I came on completely unannounced. They just called it the Bon Jovi tribute. But then I walked on, the crowd lost their minds because he's back, And I sang Bon Jovi and none of my own stuff, and it was sensational. And I love Bon Jovi.
And it sits so nicely with you as well.
Yeah, his stage show is just next level cool. Like the way he works the crowd, the way and for years it's just been a power show. Like I loved it. I brought my guitarist along, Jake, and he joined on the stage for that. It was just wonderful. And then from there on out, some corporates started asking for it, and a couple of different people asked for it.
It's so much fun.
Yeah, we kept it on the sidelines. It was always away from my public profile. It was like, we've got this thing you can do for you as well. If you want to do an 80s party and do Bon Jovi, you can do that for you. And so instead of doing my own songs,
a bit of options there.
Yeah, we threw that out there. And then next thing you know, I was in between, or the second album had just been done and it was in mix. So the label was Universal and they said, look, we would prefer you stay out of the public eye and don't do anything. And I said, okay, so none of my own songs, just take it easy. And I hate that. Like I got ants in my pants. I can't sit still. And I said, what if I played someone else's music or played guitar in another band or just went to go walk on stage at someone else's concert and be a guest artist? And they said, none of that stuff matters. That's all fine. As long as it's not like a Mark Haze show. I said, great, no problem. And I put a tour together with a Bon Jovi tribute. And we hit the road. Got a bit of a slap on the wrist for that one. But
that's cool.
But it's fun.
It's
totally fun. We didn't sell any
fun.
merch. We didn't do anything. We just performed the show, had a couple of beers with the people afterwards, and then that was that. And we just went from town to town, like honestly, a mini tour. And it did wonders for the sale of the next album because, we went back on the road to a lot of those same places, played my own music, got a good response, sold CDs, and then they were like, will you play, people start cheering Bon Jovi, like whatever, throw a Bon Jovi song in at the end, have a bit of fun with it. And then that opened my eyes up to the fact of like, wow, this could be quite fun.
It's a whole show.
Yeah, I remember being booked for the Masters of Rock tribute show is a slightly different one. That was based on the fact of I'd seen a few like storyteller shows. So we got booked to do a couple of these sort of things where I sit with an acoustic guitar and the band's there and I tell some stories about how we wrote the song and move about. And in that show, I ended up putting 2 or 3 of my favorite rock covers within that and what influenced me to, help me to learn how to play guitar a certain way, what made this song so special for me and why I still think it's cool today. And then that got me going. And again, it's always Jake. We're driving in the van and he says, you should do that as a show. You've got more than enough material.
He's a clever guy. You should keep him in his
He's very
line.
clever. That's
He's very good with ideas for you, and it seems.
I hope he doesn't watch this and get any ideas.
Don't.
You want to keep people like that down, otherwise
They
they take
just have
over.
to not be arrogant.
They take over. He must never know.
Next thing
his
he's going to listen and have this brilliant
Yeah,
idea.
he must never reach his full potential. I need him too much, so there's no way. And then the next thing we were booked for some sort of event, and I said I don't want to do the Bon Jovi one again because we've just been at this venue, I think a few months prior. So I said, how about we bring you the Masters of Rock? And they said, what's that? And I just laid off Queen, Led Zeppelin, Beatles, Rolling Stones, and I just started thinking about this record collection that I had as a kid. It was my parents' record collection. And they said, that sounds freaking amazing.
It sounds amazing.
Bring that. And then I had to get to work and plot it together. And a lot of I have the sort of, I prepare a lot and I practice a lot, like you should. Yes, kids, you should be practicing a lot to hone your craft. But I'm at the point right now where a lot of stuff can kind of happen organically on stage. So I plotted the set list, for example, and then some nights, even the band's fairly entertained. They keep telling me, like, we never heard that story before. And I'll tell little bits about the song, between each song, or I'll let 2-3 songs play, and then I'm reminded of something, or, and then I'll say a little bit of something, or someone will yell something and it'll spark an idea. So it's very organic. It's still a regular gig, and I still kind of play off that joke, and then I talk about, I'll move another song forward and talk about that one rather, and then go back to the original set list and move. And that's why the Masters of Rock show is like, it's always exciting for us, because it feels like the old pub
When
days.
are you doing the Masters of Rock again? I hope it's soon. Is it often?
Yeah, we're playing at the Bood on Saturday the 15th.
It's so cool.
Yeah, the show is sold out before you know.
I love that stuff.
It's
I've
such a nice
heard
one.
about it,
And
and
whenever
such
I
good
feel-
reviews about it.
Thanks.
But I'm going on it because I've a few people have spoken about it, but I haven't seen it. I'm gonna go.
Well,
I'm gonna wear my T-shirt.
You should pull in. Just let us know. Yeah,
Pull in,
come on
yeah.
in. Yeah. And most of the time it's sold out now. The 15th is sold out already. Incredible how it just moves.
Such a great idea, though.
Well, you got to be careful of it because, well, I don't know if you have to be careful of it. I'll tell you what happened. There's a lot of the musicians and friends in the industry because I, believe it or not, I'm actually in the business of making original music. That's what Mark Haze is. You mentioned the face on the T-shirt. I remember saying, I never want my face on a T-shirt. I just want cool merchandise. That would be fun. And one of the ideas that's been made, and it's all over the tour van, and it's on all our gear, is we call it the Faceless Man, and it's me. It's the profile of me. You can see my hair. You can even see the birthmark and the beard, but there's no eyes or eyebrows. It's just
like the symbol of. Yeah,
it's like my logo.
It's
now,
a logo,
sort of thing. Yeah. And that's going on all the merchandise now, and everyone wants to have that in their caps and that sort of thing. So, I mean, that's pretty cool. So again, I didn't get my face on everything. I got my
You
wish,
can have your face on things,
but I don't want
just
my face
make it a
on
little bit.
like draw stuff on
like
it.
draw stuff on it.
You see, the real reason for that is because when I see a face on a thing, I immediately either want to draw a penis on the mouth,
You do.
or I want to put a little fake moustache on it or something like that. So I just know, do unto others. So I was like, maybe I should.
Maybe
put my
you'll be a
face on
poster
anything.
of you outside, and I'll draw a little picture.
The joke is, I mean, we used to have some posters in our jam room, in our rehearsal space, and there were teeth blacked out and stuff like
Don't
that.
do that to other musicians.
It was me. I did it to my own.
Did you do it to yourself?
My own face. Yeah,
Okay. I want one of those posters. Can I have one?
I don't even know where they are, but I see. I mean, I remember having to sign stuff on walls. You go to certain places and they autograph the wall, and then like there'll always be like a little arrow saying this guy's a dick. But it's me. I wrote it about myself, just to cause a bit of trouble. But the show does really well because I think that it's a real let loose situation. So it's not proper rehearsed. And there are people who've watched it 4 or 5 times. I can't believe they come that many times to see it. And they keep saying to me that like what is good is the music's good always, but there's always a slight twist in the story or another thing you've told, you added an anecdote. And I'll do mashups in the song as well. So there's not enough time to do all my influences. So we'll play, like, have you ever seen the rain from Creedence? And inside that I'll throw in, I can't even remember what I threw in, because I make it up a lot of the time. But I think I threw in Neil Diamond in the middle of that. And,
so cool.
Lavinia's daughter Alice was in there one day, and Proud Mary gets thrown in somewhere. And it comes to me, it's actually a thing I used to do at cover shows when I was younger, to keep the audience dancing. It's like, keep the song rolling, guys, and then I'll just sing other lyrics on top. And
you're like a DJ in a body.
It's like being a DJ,
Yes.
And I figured it by watching DJs, so that's where that came from.
Yes.
But
so that's amazing.
Look, a lot of people came to me and they said to me, it's right after COVID, they said like, this was brought up, like why the tribute shows, why the solo shows, because I'll do some shows on my own. For example, if you attend any Kaapstad Brauhaus or any wine farm or anything like that, they usually have, like on a Friday evening or a Saturday, they've got a musician that comes in. Normally it's a lady or a gent that plays acoustic guitar, or a person in their drummer sort of thing, and they get paid a certain rate to be there. And a lot of these guys are part-time musicians trying to find their way into it, or just get a bit of extra income so that they can survive, which is great. And there's often gaps in those calendars, and that one of my agents books me in there, and I go play. And it's I don't want more money than anyone else earns. I'm literally the same guy. We don't advertise it much more than just put it on our standard monthly poster.
Yes, so it's fun as well.
Yeah, and it's free. People can come. I mean, they're patrons to the restaurant, so they eat and they drink and they do whatever. And a lot of people don't really know or care that it's me. Maybe my hair's tied up for the day and they don't. There's a Clark Kent Superman thing going on there, and they don't. When my hair's tied up, people often just like beeline right past me, and the same person will come past me the next day and my hair's down, and they'll go, "Hey, Mark Haze."
It's part of
It's the weirdest thing. That's also why the face design was created,
yes,
and that sort of thing. It came up as a joke.
Maybe they can recognize you then if you start promoting that on
your
stations.
And I remember saying to whoever it was, that I've said it to a few people, I said, like, if it's not that I have to do this. It's just that if I felt like if I didn't, like, I wouldn't be doing my part to keep the industry alive.
It's entertainment.
When COVID screwed us so badly,
Yeah, exactly.
And someone said to me, you just said it now, it's entertainment.
Yeah, it's
And I said, like, well, everyone has a purpose. The purpose of a performer is to perform. If I'm waiting 3 months before my next big show, if I'm waiting for all the massive shows to happen, you'll be waiting a long time, and that's okay to wait, but and each to their own. I'm not saying that any of the guys that came to speak, in fact, I said it to them. I said, look, if you want to be that, you're entitled to be that. There's no judgment here. Just understand. And I think they came to me out of concern. They were like, what are you doing? Why are you playing tiny places? Why are you doing little gig solo performances here, loop shows here, and stuff like that? Because I want to. It's literally that. I just want to.
And you also, I found the musicians that really make a living off this are like you, thinking, okay, cool, this is a good idea. Bon Jovi tribute, good idea. Masters of Rock, it's you have to do that, or
sometimes it's bust if you don't. I mean, from a financial point of view, I think some guys have to keep it going. I'm not saying that I'm above.
No, but it also
anyone,
keeps you as a performer going. If you have a 3-month break in a performance, it kind of keeps keeps the machine oiled.
I think that because my heroes are older, and I look back at all these documentaries, and I've read many books before the internet and that sort of thing about all my heroes, like you're talking Clapton and Hendrix and Led Zeppelin and all those guys. We see them as these mega stars now. But the fact is that we're actually, the way we perform to say 200-300 people on a good night and a couple of thousand at a festival on every other month sort of thing, or every third, fourth month when we get the chance to. Not all of us are able to do that. We don't live in the States. We're not touring Europe. We don't even have the ability to get in a bus and do a countrywide tour because there's not enough venues to do that sort of that style and with that outlay of funds at the moment. Maybe one day we will be. I don't know if it'll be in my lifetime, but I'll work towards that. But the funny thing is, and I don't think people have realized this until I've said right now, but we're more relatable to the bands of the 60s because they played small school halls and tiny dance halls and things like that. They really did work with each other and hear each other. Very little was coordinated. There were no dancers like dancing for them unless you were in the band, like I don't know, like Tina and Ike, that sort of thing, and you did the shimmy and the Jackson 5 and those guys, and I don't think that I think that as the 70s came along, rather near the end of the 70s, and like Kiss comes along and they start having explosions, and then people start going like, we're taking this to stadiums, we've got bigger sound systems, and it's more the giantness of it all. And don't get me wrong, when I played the stadium, we utilized every opportunity we had.
Sure.
We used the place we were in and did the big thing we were supposed to. The crowd sang along, was clapping, and this side versus that side, and it was a whole thing. So side note, which was cool because I got to open for Bon Jovi. So
I know, I was hoping you would say that.
Yeah, that was a very cool day for me. I'll get onto that.
Okay, get onto that.
So if I read in Clapton's book that he just showed up at a Jimi Hendrix gig and saw him backstage and did that sort of thing. Can you imagine trying to get on stage at, like, I don't know, Michael Jackson's show, just to say hi to MJ?
Hi.
You'd need approval first. It needs to go through I don't know how many people.
Yeah,
it's a big corporate
affair.
Yeah, and much. I mean, in South Africa, if I wanted to say hi to Marco from Prime Circle, I'd WhatsApp him, and then he'd make sure he meets me at the backstage door.
It's a different kind of relationships that people have with each other.
But it's that easy to do that.
It's very
I think
easy,
that if who came here recently, Zach Brown Band was here. So if you wanted to go and say hi to Zach, you may have his number on your phone, but it's not that simple for him. He won't have his phone, first of all. His assistant's probably looking through the phone for him. There's a security person there, security person there, security person there. There's the people that run the stadium. Then there's the promoter for the actual event. Then it's their management. By that time, it's like, well, there's no way I'm seeing Zach. He's not going to be there.
No.
He's already gone off with his towel on, and he's flown off with his helicopter to the hotel. Whereas as big as like bands like Francois van Coke is that I can call him anytime and he'll pick up his phone and he'll see me backstage and we'll do that, so we're actually a little bit more linked to the artists as famous as they were then in that time,
in that capacity
and how they operated, even though you don't take any form of superstardom away from Prime Circle or Fork of Polisicaro or any one of those guys. They are superstars in their own right. However, he's walking his dog in the evenings, I know, because I've seen it. And no one's bugging him and doing that sort of thing. My brother tells me in England, like, the paparazzi thing is insane. You see them before you see the actual famous person coming past, and it's just a little bit sad that the job's glorified, but it's the fame of it that's glorified.
I understand.
It's stupid. Not the artistry that's glorified, which is just ridiculous.
It's strange. If you really think about it, we live in a very, very, very weird world. And Bon Jovi opening, I'm proud of you for opening for
Thanks.
The tribute.
Oh,
How was it?
We didn't do the tribute at the show.
No,
we played our own
you
music
opened
though.
for it, but it might have influenced you to go.
I had hidden radio. I think Wake Up was on the radio from my first album, From Where Angels Fear to Fly, and it's actually a little bit of a weird story. But we were signed with Universal at the time. Benji Moody calls me and he says, "Guess who's opening for Bon Jovi?" And I go, "Don't mess with me." And he goes, "Yeah, it's you. So it's going to be you. We haven't done any of the work. We're still finalizing a few things, but it looks like it's going to be you." And I go, "That's amazing." I tell my whole family, but everyone has to do hush hush. No one has to share it. And it obviously slips out to some friends and cousins and that sort of thing. And the band's wives like kind of hear about it, and it starts to get a little bit more loud than it should. But we kept it, I suppose, under 100-person cover. Which is pretty good if you think about it like Skinner. It's just going to go. Yeah. And so I'm driving somewhere, and on the radio station, the announcement comes on Elvis Blues, the opening act for Bon Jovi, and I go,
"What?
That's fascinating." And on the highway, I now slowly move my car over to the side. I collect myself, and I make a phone call. Benji on the other line. He's like, "You heard, right?" And I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "There was an altercation." And I went, "What did you do?" And he says, Elvis's manager at the time he's very good, Franny Kutzer. And the way you're supposed to do it, if I'm speaking in layman's terms here, so everyone kind of understands, is a band comes to the country, or an act comes to the country. They've got a management team and a record label. If you are part of that same record label internationally, then you qualify to be looked at to be an opening act. They also reserve the right to say yes or no. The manager gets to choose. They also look at like how many sales you have, are you popular, etc., things like that. Elvis Blue is and will always be more popular than me. He is a fantastic artist, and he does really good work, and he's just a megastar. Okay, so and he definitely was at that point in time as well. So I had a number one at that point, just freshly off a year or so off Idols or whatever it was, and so, but my genre was, in line with what they wanted as an opening act for Bon Jovi. So I think I was just put forward without any other options with me. If I understand the story correctly, I'm paraphrasing a lot, and I'm a bit of hearsay, because I remember being fuming when that conversation happened. And when Franny found out about it, he was like, "That is not the correct procedure on how to do things, and you know it." Even though he likes me, we're good friends. He's good to me, and he's always given me great advice. And in fact, he helped me at the stadium. He helped us with our sound check and helped with communications and stuff like that. Great guy. And he just, to show the label like that's not how you do business, he made a few of his own phone calls, because he's worked overseas a lot and that sort of thing. So next thing you know, without Universal South Africa even knowing, Elvis was named the opening act for it. And so I had to go with my tail between my legs back to all my friends and say "No, it looks like it's not happening." And then I don't know what happened, but KFM at the time, they were the radio station, I think, looking after it. They had some sort of a thing going where Francois van Coke, they won votes to become the opening act for Metallica. And somebody somewhere was looking at me saying, "But we could also do a thing like that." Not looking for me, but looking at there's enough space for another opening act.
Yes.
We've got more than enough time. Let's do another one, and let's put it to a vote. And that's when that floored me, because the votes were completely unanimous. The votes were so much for me. I actually could have had an opportunity to go play with them in Johannesburg as well.
Okay.
And I can't remember who was the opening act there now. I can see his face in front of me, nice guy. But I remember having the discussion with the station, saying, because they're linked with Johannesburg station as well. And I said to them, "No, you know what? Let me do my hometown and let him do his hometown, and then
that's
it'll be
nice.
cool like that." Well, I thought it'd be rad.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's nice.
Well, a lot of people don't realize you don't get paid for those shows. It's a massive opportunity in front of 50,000 people.
You have to work your dingus off, but you don't get it.
So I thought, well, flights to get to Joburg, they gave us food, and they gave us
food and drinks.
Look, that day was impossible to even remember. I still struggle to remember a lot of what happened.
It must have been just
Yeah, and that announcement came 2 days prior, so it was immediate jump into things. Philip, the sound guy I mentioned to you earlier, went to find out what the sound system was being used, the desk being used, and he went to go and find someone who has one, and sat for a day working that desk and learning how it operates. So we would prep that way. I contacted a friend of mine from Madness to Do from Magic Hour Production, and I said, come and film the day. I'll get you 2 free tickets. You can watch the whole thing, but film me from arrival in the morning to the soundcheck, to the setup, to the press conferences, to everything going on, to the restringing of the guitars. Because I can tell you now, I'm planning this now. In 2 days' time, it's going to be autopilot for me, and I'm just going to go. And everything I remember from doing Idols and those press conferences and the being shoved around and run around at security checkpoints and all those sort of things. And, the walkie-talkies, I can still in my head, I can hear that, all right, Haze to the stage, and all that sort of thing. And so he filmed the entire process for us and ended up making a music video for my next single, which was Where Angels Fear to Fly. So that music video is like the clips of the day.
Yes.
But when I was done with it, I remember everything being taken away and put back into storage, and Phil took everything back to the warehouse. And I met my wife, who was very pregnant at the time with my first child. And that kid was bouncing around in that stomach. And it was almost like I remember walking to the stage, and then I slipped into Mark Haze, and then when it was over, I slipped right back into who I actually am, and let's watch Bon Jovi now. So looking at the footage, still there's a lot of cuts that I haven't even seen yet, but it's like I don't remember that happening.
But I think your brain goes in a I think you're so focused on what you're doing,
absolutely,
that everything seems surreal almost, and you're just focusing on, this is what I'm. It's strange. It's a strange feeling.
I remember my brother and I talking about it. It wasn't strange. It actually, people ask what that gig was like, and I say, and this is still the truth to this day, it is the easiest show I've ever had to do in my life.
Really?
That is the simplest and easiest show. I was born to play big stages.
You were born.
Like that. I instantly knew what to do. I still question myself when I play small stages and I play smaller crowds where, there are occasions where, as close as you are to me right now,
to adjust to that kind of space.
Yeah, well, someone is sitting and looking at you like that. It's kind of like,
I don't like.
It's odd.
I think just watching you with the Idol stuff and the way you, I think you did heard it through the grapevine. It's just, you look so comfortable on stage. It looks like you belong there.
If it's rehearsed, I could feel very comfortable.
You look like that's where you are, and you don't look. It looks like that's where you're supposed to be. That is where Mark Haze is supposed to be.
Wasn't always that way, though. I think as time's gone by, I'm so used to doing it. My little boy, a good couple of years ago, I don't think, he didn't have my sister, my daughter wasn't born yet. And he was about, I don't know, 5, maybe 6 or something like that. And he had an opportunity the little kids had to kind of parade across the stage at school. And he wasn't there, but he had a bit of a flip out moment where he didn't want to do it, so he ended up kind of just like running across the stage, and then when the teacher said something to him along the lines of like this, or she said to everyone before they did this, which is what played in his head, that this will be the last time you get to do this as a whatever grade he was in, and next year this doesn't happen again. And he felt such regret that he couldn't muster up the strength to go and do it, and came off. And then when I spoke to him afterwards that evening, when I came home, and he came home and he told me all about it, a little bit teary-eyed and that sort of thing. And I said to him, it's okay, it's okay to be nervous and go, but you do it anyway. And then he turned to me and he said, easy for you to say. It's like, you're so easy. You've like, it's so easy for you. You get on stage all the time. This is a little 6-year-old thing yelling at me. And I said, truthfully, no, it's not. If anyone wonders, it's not the same nerves as the first time you do it. It's just a different form of nervousness. It's a form of, like, I'd say, anxiousness. You talk to any racing driver, the adrenaline is pumping through them. Their mind is cognitive of what's about to happen. I think if you start to get to the point where you just, business as usual, walk on stage.
Never.
You shouldn't do it anymore,
No.
So I tried to explain that to him, that was the case. A year later, he goes into the school play. He's one of the stars of the school play, and he's been in the school play like ever since. And he's loving acting, and he's loving singing, and he plays drums now and stuff like that. And that's really the long and short of it. I think the truth of it is that that's why a lot of people go like, "What do you mean it was the easiest gig of your life?" It's because everything I'd ever watched on television was on that big stage.
You were prepared for it in your mind.
100%. Everyone's there for the same reason. They're there to have a good time. If you ask them to sing, they're going to sing. No one's going to go, I'm not going to sing for Mark, I'll wait for John. sort of thing. They're like, cool, let's have a great time. Let's woohoo, let's do this, let's clap, let's bounce, let's do that. You do your guitar solo, you make sure you stand on top of the big box and the spotlights get onto you. It's very simple for that. And also the crew is 100% dedicated to doing this right. When you play smaller venues and maybe you're not well known yet and that sort of thing, the crew doesn't know anything about you and is trying to facilitate whatever they can around you. And sometimes it's one person doing the sound and the lights.
And everything is happening at the same time.
Yeah, they're trying to figure some things out, and some drunk guy is spinning his beer on the sound desk and they're trying to sort that out. That's the reality of that. And when I sit in theatres, which I do a lot now, and I'm working on that fear thing, but I mean, the band sees it 10 minutes before the time. I'm honestly standing there going, I need to calm myself down, I need to just relax. I don't. A lot of people say, let's just get this over with, where I'm kind of like, I might need a bit more time. Let's hope and get this going. But I'll walk on the stage and you put on the mask.
It's the Mark Haze. You put on your Mark Haze Spider-Man.
Yeah, they're two different people. They really are.
They are. I mean, they have to be.
I think so.
I agree with you.
I don't think I could face it. Because
know,
if you're not, then that means you have to be on the whole time.
You can't be on all the time.
There's no time for that. I play paddle a lot now, which is great for exercise.
Do you play paddle?
I love paddle. I'm an ambassador at the Durbanville Paddle Club. And,
the Durbanville
shameless
Paddle
self-plug.
Club. No, you're allowed to. I'll come. I'm always scared. I blix them into the glass.
I have many times.
It's very small, and I feel like I'm getting enthusiastic.
That glass is fairly flexible, believe you me.
Is it? Okay, I'll check it out.
I'm a big guy, and I run into it a lot, and it handles.
All right.
No, it's good fun. Come join us.
I will.
It'll be good fun. Yeah. Bring the whole team.
I'll bring the whole fam. I'll bring all the.
We should probably
all the guys that's been in music podcast. This podcast should actually.
It's a great idea. Yeah.
They should come and hit some.
Yeah, it's a great sport. I love it. After my back surgery as well, it's actually one of the safest sports for me to do because it doesn't put too much strain on the back.
Back surgery. Now, listen, speaking of back surgery, but you can change this massage. But I've got a massage for you because I actually asked, I'm just going to get it. You got I asked them, what massage should Mark Haze have? They said Mark Haze must have the traditional massage. Is your back going to handle that?
Yeah, it'll be fine.
Because it's full of stretches and it's tough and it's for rock stars.
Is
I know you like
massage?
to put in a box, but it is based on yoga with stretches. It's a Thai massage.
Excellent.
And it is Phanaprai that gave that to you.
Fantastic.
Phanaprai. And then Strand 150. Strand.
Amazing.
So when you're ready, they have given you the Mark Haze massage. That's what it's called now, the traditional Thai massage. And if you click at the bottom, you can get 20% off. Not you get yours for free.
Well, thanks.
They subscribe and get 20% and 10 massage of any other massage.
Sure.
I'm just getting the hot oil massage, so you're getting the traditional rock massage. Thank you, Phanaprai.
Thank you, Phanaprai. That's an amazing gift. Wow.
So maybe we can talk to them and then your wife can also go because being married to a rock star ain't easy.
I think it's harder for her than it is for me, to be honest. Yeah.
I always want to give you guys gifts, and I say to them, "What about the wives? Give the
she
wives
gets most
some
of the gifts.
stuff."
Oh, yeah,
oh, does she?
Yeah,
okay.
Many times. Yeah.
I just wanted to just ask you what new musicians should watch out when a record label runs to them or a manager runs to them and says, "Sign the dotted line."
No, don't sign anything. That's the first thing I would say. Sign nothing until you know for certain what's going on. And look, I think. It's funny. I obviously speak about this to my friends, but like I think 80% of my producer role now, if I put on that hat and I'm working, is often spent not tracking the artist and mixing. It's more spent speaking to them about it. Because I will say this, that whoever comes to work with me, it's an all full honesty, open door policy. Like that's what I do. So you can bring something to me. And if I don't understand it, that's normally a good sign that the contract's a little bit hardcore. But there are people I'll put you in touch with. Like I've got friends who work in entertainment law. I can pass people on to publishers, PR. There's certain record labels that you can look at. The record label I'm with now is a lot smaller than anything else. It's Wowie, Cape Town Sound, and they give me a lot of creative freedom and the ability to track around when I need to work it. I mean, it's not very often I'll use their studio for certain things. I'll use my own for other things. Sergio, the engineer, will mix some things. I'll mix some other things. We got Michael, who's my keyboard player and my music director. He'll produce other. So it's very like all over the place. Not many labels would do that. In fact, when I first signed to my first label, it was you'll do it here. You'll track it here. That's the engineer. That's the producer. Leave it at that. And arguments will always come up in that case. But and I looked at my own lifespan of music up until that point, and I thought, wouldn't it be cool if I could go back in time and just tell myself, don't sign that? Wouldn't it be cool if that person we spoke about earlier, when I met him for the first time, my instinct told me, this is a snake, watch out for him. But, you hear the talk, and then you start thinking to yourself, don't judge a book by its cover, and all the cliches, and, let's see how it goes, and we can always back out if we want to, and all of that. Or you get pressured, like, if we don't sign this contract today, we'll lose this deal, and that sort of thing. And none of that's true. If someone's going to bring you a contract and says there's a time limit on when you want to do this, they're squeezing you for whatever reason there is. It's not, like, you'd see that in movies all the time, where it's like, well, if you don't do this, there's somebody else who does want it. That's crap. That's not true.
Exactly.
There's no way. If someone uses that line on you, it's a case of like, well, then just take it away, because I don't want to sign anything to do with you if you're going to put a time limit on that.
I think they talk a lot and, kind of say things, and you're so wrapped up in the moment that you think, okay,
It's like in the corporate world, where someone says, I've got to go speak with HR. Oh no, me and the HR lady, we're tight, and she really looks after my best interests and that sort of thing. I'm sorry, I'm calling bullshit, because no offense to the HR people listening to this right now,
sure.
but you work for the company.
Yeah.
Your first priority is to protect the company. No one's going to take the job that they work for and defend you in that process when the company is the person hiring you for it. So when someone from a label wants to come and speak to you, not that person is a bad person or that label is a bad label, but they've got an agenda that they want to follow, rightfully so. What the labels are starting to, whether they want to realize this or not, is that they don't have all the power anymore.
Yeah.
Not like they used to. The fact is, cell phone company has power over us now. Apple and Samsung and all that, Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer, YouTube Music, all that sort of stuff. When Steve Jobs, who was the creator of the online sale, the stream, went to the labels, the heads of many labels, and spoke to them about this, they all said, no, thank you. CDs will never go away, and we shouldn't really have a problem. I think you try it, it's fine. We'll deal with it. And now we're forced into this agreement where every stream pays you 0.04 cents.
Yeah.
That's not even a cent.
No.
0.04 cents. What is that?
I don't know.
I saw a video of Trivium with a check. They were the most streamed artists on Spotify that year, and it was a check for like, I don't know, $10,000 or something like that. The most streamed over Beyonce, over all these people, and it's like, what the hell? That's what you got paid. So that's why it's all very corporate and
of course it is. It's a business,
and I get that. It's always been that, And I think I've been messed around enough by this, and been gullible enough, or arrogant enough to think like, well, I'm the rock star, you do the business, I'll do that, and you protect this. And the actual fact is, it's like it moves a little slower for me now, but I've got my finger on the pulse of all of it.
That's the thing of a musician that I know that lost everything because he was always on tour. Always on tour, not in control of his money, not in control of the stuff. So I'm glad that you've got your pulse in it. I think when somebody comes to you with too many promises in the beginning, just kind of, because
it's difficult.
That story is crazy.
If I take the people that I work with now, there are guidelines put in place, and it's like, if I take shout out to Devo, my PR guy, I'll use him as an example because he's a fantastic person to work with. He said, this is what we're aiming for. We hope to achieve this much of it, and if we don't achieve this by this time, it's possible it might happen there, but none of this over here is a guarantee. So he outlines everything. There's some things he knows he can say, I will get this for you, I will do this much social media for you, I will get that, and I will find this many interviews over this period of time for you, and that sort of thing, because he knows he can. First of all, he has it. But when someone says things like, no, there's going to be a world tour coming up and this and that, and you go, well, who are the people you took on a world tour before? And the uncomfortableness on the young people's faces when I'm sitting with them in the studio, and we just, let's pause the recording for a second here. Who have they taken on tour? What have they done? Who's this? When people say, oh, there's a sponsor on board, but I'll let you know soon. So, no, let me know now. Just tell me to keep it a secret. It will make me sign a non-disclosure. Don't hide it. Like when people want to talk like that, 10 to 1, they're probably like too big for their boots. They don't really know what's going on. And that's the sad fact of it. In rock and roll, in music in general, like everyone's trying to be cool. It's an industry of cool.
It is an industry of cool.
But the thing is, I'm not cool.
No.
That's the difference. I'm not. I'm a nerd. I really am. I'm a geek when it comes to music.
I think most rock stars are.
Well, that's the thing. On stage, I pretend to be cool. I act cool and I do what I do. And well, I hope it's cool. Who knows, But whatever it is, it's me now, and that's what I go for it. If someone then dubs that as cool, therefore it becomes cool, so what? But I'm not in that vein of like, well, I need to walk over here and keep the fans back over here. The amount of trouble I got into on Idols for stuff like that is ridiculous. the security was always cross with me because I was always in the crowd, and they were like, "This is such a security risk," and I'm like, "For what? Who's going to steal me? What are they going to do to me?" You know, I get it. Like certain like John Lennon was assassinated. We understand that there's some crazy people out there that would do crazy things, but I mean, it was idols. I mean, relax, you know.
It must have just been so much fun, though.
It was ridiculous. I luckily for me, I don't know how I knew it, but I just knew it would only last for a certain amount of time.
It was a nice spike, though. Yeah. It was a nice momentum.
Huge. Yeah.
Hey?
I lost all sleep over that time. I stayed up till crazy hours writing to fans, trying to build a fan base from nothing to something, because 12th Avenue was in a complete rut, and another manager had taken everything from us. It was a disaster time. Yeah. And getting onto the show, at no point, I mean, it's even you say, like, I'm so sad you didn't win, and thank you for that, but I didn't think I'd make the top 100. I thought I had enough talent to maybe get noticed at some point in the opening rounds. And then when I got through, in fact, the most emotion, my late dad, he said the most emotion he's seen from me throughout the entire show was when I made the phone call home from Sun City to say that I'd made the top 15. Because I could not believe I actually got, when I was in the top 100, I was such a goof off. I had such a great time. I met some cool people.
Okay, you were having fun.
Yeah, I just spent time with everyone. I learned the songs, of course, I did my job, but it's like what I do now. And I didn't have my day job to go to, which took up 9-10 hours of my day every day. I obviously took like leave from that to go and do this, and they were very supportive of that, and I still thank them for it. But I had all the time in the world to just quickly run through the songs, and then like in Sun City. So I was like, "Hey man, where are you going next? Where are we going? Let's get a beer. Let's do this. What's your name? Hey, what do you do? Where do you come from? Cool. Let's take your number." Like I just meet the sound guys, I met the production crew, met the management, met the production team, just worked on every single step of the way. And next thing you know, it's like, oh, I'm through the next round. I was almost 100% certain that I wasn't going to get past this first one. But okay, a group thing? Okay, let's do that. And it just happened. And then when they announced the top 15, I found myself going like, I can't believe I've made it this far. And then some tears came, and they got it on film. My dad said that's actually when you were the most emotional, because I think the self-doubt had been like, I'm not actually going to make it past there. No one really wants to see an overweight guy with long hair like trying to sing rock and revitalize that, and, you know, when there's so much cool pop going on at the time. And I got in. And that's why the only time I got cross was when the judges said something along the lines of, "You don't look like you want this as much." And I was like, what a dick thing to say. I'm right here.
Yeah,
you know? Like, what are you on about? And I remember using the phrase, I said, "You want to see a bumbling idiot running around the stage? Oh, I'm so nervous. Please excuse me, judge. I don't want to screw up," or whatever. Or do you want the person that's going to leave here one day, that's going to do this show later on? And they kind of set their mouth, and that's when I got in the papers for it. And I think that kind of sparked a little bit of a way. And my mission has always been that, so from the contract point of view with record labels and people getting messed around by managers, and the understanding of reality shows or reality versus real life, and the stage show persona versus what the real Mark walking with his kids, like, please don't bet my kid on their head, they're not, like, they're real, you know, stuff like that. I've always been very vocal about what goes on with that, because there's a lot of smokescreen the entire time. So like they play the reality show as in like, we want the bumbling idiot, we want the golly gee Miss Mary Jane, you know, sort of like thing to happen, and then Spider-Man to jump out, where it's like, no, I'm Batman already, so don't worry about that. Batman. You know, you don't get to see Bruce Wayne. Batman's doing the job, Bruce Wayne's somewhere else. So they saw Mark Haze, and that's what it is. And I try to help the people who come to my studio, because I don't really work with bigger acts right now. I offer very low rates. We don't charge per day or per hour or anything like that. It's like we charge a small rate for the product, because I want to get it out. Because I've got Mark Hayes as a project to do.
Yes, you've got. Yeah.
This is very much a thing that I do out of love, and it's becoming more and more a lot more work than usual. And I'm finding really great artists, or really great artists are finding me, and we're working together, and they don't have to pay hundreds of thousands right away. I always say to them, like, you may work with me for a little while and then go off. I hope you go off to bigger and better things. But when you do, when whoever the producer might be, maybe it's one of the biggest, like Jimmy Iovine or someone, and he says, yeah, I think this and that, trust these 20 Grammys that I've got or whatever, you can still say, no thanks, Jimmy, that's not true.
Exactly. I'm glad that you are there for them to educate them in that way.
Well, that's the idea. I can't fix what happened to me in my past, but I can help other people with what's going on now.
I don't know if your song would have been so brilliant if you didn't go through so much hell. I don't know.
Maybe.
It's one of the most profound. Don't let go.
Absolutely.
Let go. Yeah. It's probably, if you haven't heard it, I'll put it in the link below. It's such a rocking anthem. I can't wait to play it on radio. I'm so glad your rock music is on radio.
Yeah.
I'm excited to play it.
You know, I think more than half of the song is a guitar solo than the rest is. The lyrics are very. There's only a little bit of lyrics in it. It's not that much going on.
Fender in it.
I didn't use it.
Did you use your Fender or your Epiphone?
Back in the day, I think I used a... No, we used a Gibson Les Paul on the first one. Did you use the Les Paul for that? But in this one, now, I ended up using a custom Jackson on that one. A Fender shape, you know.
Sounds pretty.
Yes, she's nice. Yeah.
She's lovely.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you coming this afternoon.
It's a pleasure.
And it's really been an absolute thrill for me, you know, and pleasure for me. Thanks. I really do. Yeah. Thrill is the wrong word. This is not it's because you're a rock star. I'm going thrill, but it's been such a pleasure for me, and I really, really appreciate it. Thanks. And I hope that you enjoy. I'm just going to say it again. Thank you very much to Phanaprai for sponsoring Mark Haze's podcast. And you can get them at 150 Strand Street, www.phanaprai.com. I'm putting the link below because they can get a special. They can get a 20% off the Mark Haze. That's a hardcore Thai massage. It's going to be stretched.
Oh, I like it.
Yoga based.
Sounds good.
Lovely. And I'll just send that through to you. But thank you very much for being you.
No one's ever thanked me for that.
Because I miss rock.
Why are you?
Why are you, Mark? I don't know. But thank you very much for carrying on and going so far from where I've seen you to where you are now. And I only see greatness ahead.
No, thanks.
Maybe Bon Jovi will open for you next time.
Oh, I don't know so much about that.
You never know. You never know. But it's been that could be cool. But I think that in anything we do, we salute you and keep on rocking in the free world.
Thanks, Hanlé.
Never
Appreciate
let go.
It, man. Yeah.
Don't let go.